Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I want to share with you some tips and insights on how to learn about accessibility and inclusive design. A quick reminder before I jump in, I share everything about UX on my YouTube channel, from portfolio reviews, design creates, and career growth tips. So if you are interested on this type of content, please feel free to hit the subscribe so you won't miss any of my future content. So before I jump into the topic, I have a quick announcement. So Google I/O is just around the corner. It's a huge event every year hosted for developers around the world. And I am super excited to share that I will be presenting how to get started with accessibility and in product inclusion at this year's I/O on May 12th. This is a website of Google I/O 2022. This event will be free for everyone this year and majority hosted virtually. So once you sign up, you will be able to have the access for keynotes and alt sessions and workshops. And I believe it will be live streamed during the 2 days, but the resource will be also available for you to watch later. So I think this is a fantastic learning opportunities for not only developers, but also designers and product managers, anyone who work in the tech industry, to be honest. And so if you're interested, highly recommended. What we're looking at, this is the homepage of Google I/O 2022. Once you get here, you'll be able to switch language here or just click the register to sign up for the event. If you want to learn more about what are some programs are involved in this year's I/O, you can tap on program overview. And for example, here, if you're interested in accessibility, I would just check here the topic. Once I select a topic like accessibility, it will filter and only show you the programs related to this topic. The second one you see here on the screen, getting started with accessibility and product inclusion. This is the program, the session that I will be sharing with my coworker Alex. So this program is really designed for everyone, doesn't require any pre-knowledge in this area. And you will learn the basics of accessibility, product inclusion, and also how to start integrating both into your product development process. So highly recommend it, and would love to hear your thoughts about this program. Like I mentioned, this is a great opportunity to learn about the latest technology, design trend, and also get connected with other developers or designers. So feel free to check it out and sign up. First of all, what is product inclusion? There are terms that you probably have been hearing, for example, accessibility, inclusive design, and product inclusion. Are they talking about the same thing, or what are the difference? So there are many dimensions to diversity. For example, race, gender, age, disabilities, physical attributes, and more. Well, accessibility, as we might often hear, is focusing on making products usable and inclusive to people with disabilities. When we talk about product inclusion, all of those dimensions should be considered and represented. Accessibility is focused on a specific attribute. Well, in inclusive design is actually a methodology to create product that actually understand and enable people of all backgrounds and abilities. It generates inclusive design patterns and also help us understand what might be some intersectional needs. Well, product inclusion is actually even broader. Well, it's actually talking about an end-to-end product development process that considers inclusion at many key touch points to center historically underrepresented voices and create better solutions for everyone. So next, I want to talk about why it matters, or why should you care about product inclusion. First is, as a UX designer, this can really help you uncover untapped audiences and opportunities, and eventually designing better products for everyone. For example, think about any product you might be working on at the moment. The design you have will work for new internet users, who might have challenges about slow internet connections, or working with smaller devices on a daily basis. We usually think about at the very first of any projects, who are the users we're designing for. And the other angle I want to encourage you to think about is who you might have unintentionally left out. and what might be some needs that you haven't considered. And when you work with a researcher on studies or testings, who are the user or the right group of people that you should consider to testing with to understand the foundational needs from. So second, I think product inclusion is really not just the right thing to do, but it can actually help you create useful, accessible products for larger untapped audiences. So from the business perspective, studies have shown companies that put product inclusion first or try to unlock opportunities in this area are already building more sustainable values and touching broader users. So the business value is critical. If we do it more proactively and think about an inclusive angle, what does it mean in your product? It can really help the business understand the trends and what might be the potential growing markets. Last, I want to touch about the user perspective. When we build with an inclusion in mind, the outcomes are often turned out not only benefiting the underrepresented groups, but eventually a better products for everyone. For instance, closed captions is a technology which was first invented for people who are hard of hearings. Now, I use it all the time when I watch YouTube videos, especially if my little one is sleeping. I don't want to turn the sound on. I rely on closed captions to watch videos on my phone. This is just one example how a technology like closed caption first invented and now it is used broadly by people in everyday life. So these are the three angles that we just talked about from UX designer's perspective, from user's perspective, and the business perspective, why we should care about product inclusion. We talked about what is it, why it is important, but how to learn about product inclusion. It is definitely a topic with growing interest. However, it is also different than accessibility. For example, if you go online, there are many resources or more tactical ways to explain how you can design or build to make sure your product meets the minimum requirement for accessibility. There are, I think, material design I've shared in a past video about how to learn about accessibility, some specific tools where you can take a look and understand, okay, how you test and how you design and build with accessibility in mind. However, on the other hand, I think product inclusion is way more difficult, to be honest, because it is less tactical and it's also more complex. So today, I wanted to share with you a couple of resources. This is a topic I'm also learning on my own. So if you have any reference or recommendations, I would love to hear. Okay, let's take a look. So what we're looking at is the Google website focused on topics or projects around belonging. And this is, I think, a really good resource if you're just interested to start understanding, okay, what does belonging mean? What does inclusive mean in people's everyday life? It has some really good data in addressing different issues. For example, here it touches on different dimensions within inclusion, from racial equity to disability inclusion to gender equity and LGBTQ plus inclusion. So you can tap and switch between those filters so you can browse more stories and report in different perspectives. The other thing I found really helpful is there's a tab called In Products. When we talk about inclusion, you might be hearing this topic in news or in many different channels. However, what does it mean for as a UX designer or somebody working in tech who are building products? So this is a tab. If you take a look, it actually touches on some products or technology that enables everyone to pursue their goal in a more inclusive way. For example, it talks about Android tools that enables people with communication difficulties to connect more in real time. It also has some example talking from the photo controls designed to respect the experience of transgender people. And there's some cool videos to understand how the camera can be designed in a better way, so for people with darker skin tones can feel more accurately and beautifully seen in pictures. So this is a place I think can be really helpful to see some real examples, like how when you bring on the inclusive lens and building a new product, how can it make people's life better? So the other resource I wanted to share is actually a YouTube video playlist. It's called Accessibility 811Y Cast with Rob Dodson. Quick explanation, what is 811Y? So 811Y is basically a common shortening of the term accessibility, because there are 11 letters in between the A and the Y. That's how the 811Y terms evolved from. So as you see, there are many episodes in this video playlist, and it really touches on some fundamentals of accessibility. So this is a really helpful resource if you want to just learn the basics of accessibility, and also to learn what might be some real world accessibility problems and solutions to fix them. So one other resource I want to share is this website from Microsoft. This one is focused on inclusive design. So as we talked about earlier in this video, it's more focused on the methodology and what does inclusive design means, and what might some principles that can help you more from a design perspective. The part that I like about this website is, first of all, it has some toolkit, which are really hands-on resource. Like for example, this is a menu as an introduction to the world of inclusive design. It has some basics and how you might be able to shift your design thinking towards a more universal solution. The other part that I really like is the videos. So especially in the section about inclusive design in action, there are some really good videos or films that touches on, I think from a very real life angle, what inclusive design can make a difference in product, and more importantly, in people's everyday life. Those videos are really well made, and to explain what does it really mean when inclusive design is taking actions. The other website I want to share is this inclusive design page from Nielsen Norman Group. Although it's not a dedicated website, but this is a really good resource if you want to just gain a quick insight. What does inclusive design mean? And also, what's the difference between accessibility, universal design versus inclusive design? And there are some really good examples showing what might be good versus bad examples when you consider inclusive from the inclusive angle. For example, this has some examples of text legibility and dark mode for older users. And it also talked about some examples from certain inputs for global audiences. So I think this is a good resource if you just want to learn about inclusive design but don't really have much time. I feel like this website is a really good place to start with. So the last one I wanted to share is actually a book called Mismatch, How Inclusion Shapes Design, written by Kat Holmes and John Maeda. And this is a book highly recommended if you are interested in something to read more details and to understand the space. It got a lot of really good insights, and also touch really in some in-depth angles about how inclusive methods can build elegant design solutions that work for everyone. So that is everything I have for today. First of all, product inclusion is a very complex topic. I'm learning on my own at the same time. I think the complex level is probably even higher than accessibility, but it is definitely an important area for designer to understand, and I think the opportunity it can present and help you unlock is huge. So let me know, what do you think? Would you be interested to hear more about this subject? Would it be something beneficial for your everyday work? Please feel free to leave me comments. So that's all I have, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.